Go Hunt Life show hosted by Todd Nevins.
This is Todd Nevins, and I interview people that had seemingly normal lives and careers going, but they pulled the ripcord to epically reinvent themselves in order to pursue a life full of purpose and passion. This episode is sponsored by PrintDirtCheap.com. Jeff Chrisman, the founder of Print Dirt Cheap, and the crew there are rock stars when it comes to delivering top quality printing at a cheap price. If you've met me in the last 3 years and I handed you a business card, it was printed by Print Dirt Cheap. They're my online digital printing company for everything. They do banners, company letterhead, a ton of direct mail pieces, funky decals, even menus for restaurants, over 30 categories of printing products, and yes, business cards. And they do it fast and they do it cheap. Jeff has streamlined every little aspect of the business to provide the perfect user experience, delivering the best product in the industry. I have personally been to the offices and I have seen it firsthand. But see for yourself. Go to printdirtcheap.com and use promo code GoHuntLife and get $10 off of your order. Or if you want to get a sample of their work, click on Sample Pack and they'll mail you one out for free. Go to printdirtcheap.com, use promo code GoHuntLife for $10 off of your next print job.
To know where you want to be and accept where you're at. Too many people are living in fear of checking their bank accounts every day or their credit cards. But you can't go nowhere until you accept where you are and know where you want to be. And I talk about, what are you saving for? I mean, that's the whole thing. You need to figure that out.
That is Sean Merron, and a few years ago, he and his wife found themselves over $80,000 in debt, caught in a cycle of spending the money they were making as quickly as they could on things, and smothered by the overwhelming complexity of their lives. They went from that point to now they are just 5 years away from retiring early. And how early? Sean is 30 years old. He's married, has 2 kids, and is on track to retire by the time he is 35. They have transformed their lives into being frugal and setting up the rest of their lives so they do not miss any more unforgettable experiences with their kids. And they are doing this while moving from city to city every 2 years. He provides his frugal lifestyle strategies down to the simple things: cell phone plans, cutting cable out of your house, retirement accounts, and even making tacos. They now save 65% of their monthly income. It goes straight into savings. Here is how a normal middle-class family has combined location independence and living frugally to be able to retire in their 30s. My conversation with Frugal Dude Sean Merron starts right now. Sean, thank you for jumping on the show today.
Oh yeah, sure thing. Glad to be here.
Where are we today? And describe our view, like for everyone that's listening and not watching, where are we?
Well, we're in the beautiful Austin, Texas, home of both of us. Me as of almost a year now. And we're sitting in the middle of a beautiful park on an awesome September day. It's been humid lately, but today is fantastic. And we got the beautiful skyline that never seems to be stopped building new stuff out there.
Cranes everywhere.
It's coming up.
How old are you? Are you married, and do you have kids?
Yes, I am 30 years old, married, and I have a 3-year-old son and a 2-year-old daughter.
All right. And what is your profession and primary ways that you...
I am a senior software engineer for a large corporation. I've been doing that for almost 15 years now professionally.
Okay.
And that's the way that I'm bringing in the main income.
You are also, though, a minimalist, the host of the podcast Two Frugal Dudes, and the author of the Early Retirement Roadmap. Which those things combined with like a corporate software gig typically don't come together. So take me back in your life where you had like a mindset shift to your current path that you're on.
So it kind of goes back. I said I've been doing this almost 15 years now, and I'm 30 years old. I kind of got, I don't want to say lucky, but I got into my career pretty early. I used to be a huge nerd back in the day, building computers, video games. Eventually led to me writing code and becoming a software engineer, making $40,000 when I was 17, straight out of high school.
Wow.
Yeah, so I did get a little bit of a head start there, and eventually that I started making pretty good money though, and at that time didn't really know what to do with it. I was just trying to figure out new cool things, cool toys I could get, with all this extra income. So,
what's the most expensive thing you purchased before you were 20?
BMW.
Okay. That's expensive.
Yeah.
When you were a late teenager.
Exactly. At 19 years old, I bought a brand new BMW, $50,000. You know, my car payment was around $800 living at home with my parents.
Okay.
But yeah, they got married, did that whole gig, bought a 4-bedroom, 2,500 square foot house just for my wife and I.
Okay.
Got a kid, we got a cat, got a dog, and eventually led to us having kids in 2014. So just kind of doing what we were supposed to do, right?
So yeah, I've heard that a lot in this podcast. We were doing everything that everyone said we were supposed to do, yet we were sitting here thinking there's got to be more to it.
True.
We're not 100% happy. So take me back to like 2013, 2014, leading up to the mindset shift that you're in now.
Yeah.
What was going on?
I mean, it was just a typical go to work, wake up in the morning, your alarm clock. I would go walk my dog. I would get the kids all together. We would go off, send them to daycare. Wife would go to her job. She's a dental hygienist.
Okay.
And then I worked from home at that time, would basically work all day long. I still am a pretty dedicated worker, so I take it seriously. And then by the time, get dinner cooked and ready, she goes, picks up the kids, gets home, and then it's time to, eat dinner, detox, and go to bed and do it all over again. And usually weekends were just spent mainly on home improvements, that never-ending project list,
Was there some major shift, like some defining moment you were like, okay, we've got all this, we've got the house, we got the kids, we got the dog, the cat, everything. Was there something that triggered?
Yeah, I think it was, it was time was starting to really be constrained. It was that overwhelming complexity that just started adding up, and it was really starting to weigh down on us. Even like in our relationship, kids, I guess, as soon as they came, it was really a big time sink as well,
A time sink or suck? What was it?
It's like you had to put other things on hold. So I would say when we had kids in 2014, that was probably the defining moment when, people say marriage changes your life, but I really think kids are a really big factor. You have these helpless beings, right?
Right.
That you get to feed everything into them. So when they came into our lives, that was really a shift that made us realize that, hey, what are we doing here? Okay,
so, but you were doing what you were supposed to be doing. You were both earning a living. You were providing, the normal stuff and daycare and all of that. Like, what were you yearning to have? You mentioned, was it just time with the family?
It was. I guess when we had kids, we started realizing the importance of the unforgettable experiences.
Okay.
Having more of those, but also when it was like around 2015, we like to travel a lot too. We were seeking. I guess we really started shifting from. We're human, so we tend to get bored with things fairly easy. We like something and it gets old after a while.
Right.
And we were kind of constantly in that cycle.
Okay.
And then once I realized that we were in that cycle, then things started to change. I guess, when the kids came along board, it was, playing outside, just seeing the little precious moments, enjoying the simple things in life. I remember specifically picking up mindfulness books and just learning to appreciate what's around us rather than trying to keep buying material things to fulfill those desires, and then them going away and just being content with what we had already.
And so then I know that you've had a drastic change in where you live a little over a year ago, right?
Right.
So leading up to, we're sitting here in 2017, what was going on in 2016 where you got drastic and went really, really minimal?
So I remember in about 2015, we went on a trip after my daughter was born to Hawaii. Okay. And it was like that typical expensive vacation. It was planned. And then when we were there, we were like, you know what? Like, we're spending a lot of money to go on this 5 to 7, I think it was only a 5-day vacation to Hawaii. It's kind of far, right?
Yeah.
And Laura, my wife, and I, we really enjoy traveling as well. Okay. So we then thought to ourselves, hey, rather than try and jam these 1 week, just crazy crammed vacations in, why don't we start living our traveling dreams now? Why do we have to wait? And so that trip, I remember, really made us realize, hey, could we live in Hawaii? Why are we only here for a week? Let's live here for a whole year, And then when we went back home and really started talking about it more, we're like, we have kids though.
All right. What was the factor? Why did you feel going to hold you back from doing that?
Yeah, well, we lived around all of our family our whole lives pretty much.
Okay.
And I remember specifically saying to some of my coworkers in the past that, hey, my vacations are to go have fun, where, if you don't live near your family, your vacations are going to see family. And that was true. But at the same time, we realized, but there's also these amazing experiences out there we've been in this place our whole lives and that we're missing out on now. And, kids, yes, it's hard to rip them, from place to place. And that was a big worry in our lives. But then we realized after doing some research and finding other people that have traveled around with their kids that no, we're giving them new experiences. We're bringing them to different cultures as well.
How are you seeking out those people? Provide you information and inspiration? People, was it, Instagram or YouTube or Facebook or all the above, or personal friends?
I remember, so like in 2014, like right after I had kids, I remember picking up a book. I'm sure everybody's heard of this book, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss.
Of course.
Right? So I read that one, started getting the whole, automating my life kind of deal, learning the beauty of passive income. And eventually, somehow that led me to Reddit. I don't know, as a techie, I don't know why I was never on Reddit before.
Okay.
But it led me to Reddit, and specifically to a financial independence subreddit, and where I later found someone that had just recently retired young and went off to like Nicaragua to start their early retirement adventures or world traveling tour. And everybody was like, well, how'd you do it? And he just said MMM. And I was like, MMM? What is MMM? And after, Googling all around, Mr. Money Mustache.
Oh, wow, really?
I think everybody's probably heard of Mr. Money Mustache by now. I don't know.
He's pretty popular, but I don't know. There's probably people out. Okay, so...
But that just opened up a whole community to me, of people that were willing to question the norm. And go to extreme measures to get their time back in life and do the things that they really want to do. And traveling was one of those things for us that we wanted to do. Or also just live where we want to live and do what we want to do when we want to do it with financial freedom.
Then you left, though, Virginia, and you live now here in Austin. So leading up to you leaving Virginia, what did you have to get rid of, and what was the financial situation? Do you still work for the same company that you worked for back then?
I do.
Okay. Is your wife still a dental hygienist?
She is still a dental hygienist.
Okay. So walk me up to that. Was there some like big defining parents are crying, the grandparents are crying, like driving out of Virginia? Did that happen?
Yeah. After we took that Hawaii trip and we decided, you know what, let's do this. Like, we're going to go for it. Let's live places. There's no better time than now. You never know what can happen, right? So we said, all right, well, let's start planning it. The good thing is we did take our time planning it. It wasn't like, let's just go for it right away.
Years.
Years. But years. Almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And then I would say, initially it started off with just that early retirement story, planning our lives for early retirement. After finding Mr. Money Mustache, we started setting ourselves up financially for freedom and financially for flexibility to move where we want. And then that led into, decluttering the house.
Wait, what was the first step that you remember that was a little bit painful?
I guess the painful part was realizing that, hey, we have $80,000 of debt. We just put a brand new pool in our backyard.
Oh, yeah.
We have this never-ending list of projects for our house. We're constantly saving up for the next purchase and then spending all that money we saved, saving up and then spending the money. And the pool, I joke around about this all the time. That was the last loan we ever had and ever will have.
All right.
Because, I thank my pool for it because it really taught me a huge lesson in paying off the debt. We had student loans and other things as well. And we just paid off. And then, so that was the initial factor. We were like, that's the first, we have all this debt. We're never going to be able to live our traveling dreams if we want to keep living this way. Okay. And we need to make a change about it. And that's when we said, we found early retirement, and that really made us hunker down and get frugal.
What was the biggest thing that you learned from going through Mr. Money Mustache, frugal principles? Like, what was the biggest thing that had the biggest impact? Was it credit cards? Was it the home equity? Like what happened?
The debt was bad, but the biggest impact it had was on our savings rate, honestly. We were just saving barely any money, a few percent of what we took home,
all right,
every month.
Yep.
And then there's, I don't know, it's not just about retirement. It's this whole lifestyle change too. And it was everything from decluttering the house, selling all these things that are just sitting around doing nothing, putting more money into our savings, and then eventually, opening up the freedom, getting rid of the house, our attachments. I mean, it really came down to attachments in life, things that were preventing us from taking control of our life.
All right. So you're leading up, you're decluttering everything, you're selling all you can, and then you just put the house on the market to sell it. And then what was your plan once it's sold?
So I would say we started playing the whole, we're going to sell this house and move somewhere about a year from that point, from the point we actually moved. The first part was picking a place to live.
Sure.
So we looked all around and said, hey, Austin's a cool place. But so we took a trip out here to make sure. Also, when we started with the decluttering, it was just, one drawer at a time, one room, don't do a whole room, one drawer, one piece of the closet at a time. Eventually, slow over time, we just started selling stuff to start making room because we knew we would have to downsize. And then we put the house on the market, I would say 3 months before we decided that, we can move. And the good thing is, since we didn't have anywhere we had to be, this was just a factor that, hey, we're ready to get up and go. We didn't have to rush the house sale, so we were able to do it for our sale by owner and take our time with it. But when it came up to the point where, holy crap, we have an offer on this house, we got to sell it, then we basically bought a 6x10 enclosed trailer, and whatever we could fit in it was going with us to Austin.
And that's it. If it didn't fit, it's not going.
That's right.
What was the hardest thing you had to get rid of that didn't fit?
Ooh, man, well, we got rid of the BMW.
Yeah, that doesn't fit for the lifestyle.
Yeah, we downsized.
And the $800 payment.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. And we downsized to one vehicle, so that helped.
Right.
We had 2 cars. We got the one SUV because we were taking a family trip across the country, and we had to tow a trailer behind us. But I would say one thing I really specifically remembered was my drum set, my old drum set. So I played the drums in high school, and I really enjoyed playing them. But then I just kind of fell off from it after a while, and those drums sat in my room for years. And I just said, one day I'm going to play these again. And I was like, man, I got to get rid of stuff. And I haven't touched these. Look how dusty they are. I think it's going to be the drums that are going to have to go. So that was hard getting rid of them. But you know what? I actually looked at it as, hey, if I sell these now on Craigslist or whatever, if I want to get back into drums 10 years from now, I spend the same amount of money to buy a 10-year newer pair of drums and get back into it then. There's temporary storage, right?
That is super, super logical. All right, so walk me up to the day that you guys drive out of town with the kids and the enclosed trailer and the SUV packed with everything that you own. You left nothing back there. You didn't have a storage unit, nothing. It was all in the trailer or SUV.
That's right. It was all in the trailer,
walk me through the moment.
We had a little bit of a temporary housing situation because this is our first time ever renting. And there, you have to sign a certain lease date. So we signed a lease down here in Austin in October, and we had a little over a month to actually still hang at home after we sold our house because we had a great offer and wanted to make it happen. So yeah, we had to deal with month to month lease opportunity at a house, and we ended up in a really, really horrible situation that we actually didn't even end up staying in the house that we paid for. We actually ended up bunkering with our family at home. So that was interesting, with the whole family, animals and everything. And then we had a date plan. We said, hey, we know when our lease is and when it starts, and that's when we're going to make the trip. So we're about 1,600 miles away. We were in Virginia Beach originally. Right. I don't know if I mentioned that. And it took us about 3 days to get here. With 2 kids in the car, a cat, and a dog, and a trailer, pull. And that's the first time I ever had to pull a trailer loaded, full of stuff in the back. Granted, it was a small trailer, but man, that thing was heavy. And we just went for it, man. It was a long drive, but we got here. That was the scariest part, honestly. It was just, I just want to get to Austin. That was out of this whole situation. We took our time, but my biggest fear was that trip. I think that was just.
Support for this podcast and the following message comes from Click Placement, a digital agency designing Google AdWords and pay-per-click marketing strategies for startups, small businesses, and even people building a side hustle. Hit up clickplacement.com to start a conversation. If you would like to personally support the Go Hunt Life podcast, go to patreon.com/Go Hunt Life to make a donation.
So, but let's talk then back into your income. Your wife had to quit her job. She's
right.
a dental hygienist. So
Correct.
You got to go to the office you got to go to the clinic. You were able to continue to work online.
Correct.
Is that
correct? Yes. I work from home. I talked to my boss, said, hey, we're thinking about moving to Austin. What do you think? He was like, I don't care where you work as long as you get it done. And I was like, sweet. But yeah, she would have to find new work down here. She didn't have anything lined up ahead of time. But when we got here, she started the job hunt and eventually found a job. But the good thing about the finding this whole, early retirement pretty early, we had increased our savings rate to 65%. So
what do you mean by that? You were saving 65% of your total income?
That's correct. Yeah.
When were you doing that? After you sold the house, but before you moved, or what?
That
is huge.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. We're pretty serious about this early retirement thing, and we were able, before about 2014, we were able to increase I would say we were probably around 50% take home income. We were able to save and put into investments and savings, which really meant that we cut our expenses down, so we only half of what we make is what we spend. So there wasn't a whole lot of concern with my wife not, being able to make income.
Okay.
When we moved here.
Yep.
We had plenty of time for her to find a job because I know that we can cover our expenses.
All right.
Just fine.
So you moved to Austin. Why did you choose Austin?
Everybody's going to hate me for this because I'm part of the problem, right?
Yeah, enjoy Austin. Don't forget to go home.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry. We'll leave eventually. We love it here, though. But, man, so I would say I'm a techie. I'm a tech guy. I'm also got a little bit of entrepreneur spirit on the side. So I've been in the startup world for a while now. And, hey, Silicon Valley is too dang expensive now, right? And I like being around people with similar interests. There's always a lot of benefit in that. I want to meet people that like the same things that we do. So that was a big factor. This is a great tech, up and coming. I mean, it's here now. It's not really upcoming anymore, but
right.
tech scene. The weather, when we're out here now, it's beautiful. We're warm weather people. We really enjoy nice weather, and we're not huge fans of the winter, so that had played a big role in it. And actually, when we came to visit here about 6 months to see if we liked this place 6 months ahead of time, we just noticed everybody around here is so friendly. Like, I don't know what it is. Is it because everybody's transplants or what? But everybody was so nice, and that was really important for us because we like to socialize and we wanted to meet new people, and It seemed like a great place for it.
Did you have any sort of reservations because it's higher cost of living than if you would have moved to Oklahoma City or Little Rock or Kansas City, something like that?
Yes, we definitely did. And that, so my wife and I, we like to travel, but the places we want to travel to, there's a few cities like Austin that we want to go to. And we said, you know what? It may put off early retirement a little bit if we go to some of these bigger, cities.
Okay.
But we're willing to do that because we are living our dreams now. Rather than having to wait to travel to older, this is what we really enjoy in life, is traveling and seeing these beautiful cities with all these people. So that was part of it. The other part of it was actually the cost of living here is the same as Virginia Beach, believe it or not.
Oh, all right.
It's a big tourist area. But so the cost of living wasn't much different at all from what we were already used to.
All right.
I mean, so that, yes, my wife still needs income too.
All right.
In order to speed up early retirement, so she can make good money in Austin versus a lower cost of living area.
All right. So we've used the word frugal a couple of times, and that conjures up all kinds of images from different people. You asked 10 different people to define frugal, and that you would get potentially 10 very different answers.
Yeah.
What is your definition of a frugal lifestyle?
I think it's really just, it's being, I think frugal people are just smart with their money. When someone says I'm frugal, I'm just being smart about my money. I'm using it. I'm cutting back on the reoccurring expenses that happen month to month so that I can splurge where I want to.
Wait, what would be an example? So you've got rent, you've got kids, health insurance, one car, gasoline, and cell phones.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that most people commonly have in their lives and they don't even think about it because they think of it as a necessity that you have cut back on and don't have?
One that comes to mind immediately is, everybody talks about cutting the cord, the cable companies. Yeah. So we bought a HD antenna. I don't know, have you heard of an HD antenna?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many people still don't know about those things.
How much are those?
Like $15 on Amazon or something.
Okay.
And you get a high definition antenna, plugs right into your cable jack, and you get full high definition TV over the air for free.
How many channels?
I'd say about 30 or so channels here in Austin. Now, you'll get the major broadcast stations too, like your ABC, NBC, CBS, etc. So you can still watch like football games. Too many people waste too much money on cable, and those cable companies are really ripping a lot of people off with the promotions that end, and a lot of people just fall into those raising rates and don't even really think twice about renewing their promotions. So I think that's a huge cutback right there.
What do you do for your cell phones?
That would be my next big thing is a cell phone. So my wife and I don't know if you've heard of Project Fi, F-I. So Google started Project Fi, I don't know, maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. Basically, our cell phone bills combined, we pay $60 a month right now, and we get credited for any gigs we don't use. I mean, the biggest cost I see with people is they're paying all this money for all this data, and they're stuck with a huge company like, I'm going to say Verizon.
Yeah, whatever, AT&T, Verizon,
yeah,
sure.
And I mean, these companies are ripping people off. It's ridiculous how much people are paying for these cell phone bills. I mean, we're talking, $150, for a family sometimes. So we just use Project Fi. We get service everywhere, and there's all these prepaid plans out there as well, which there's no reason you can't be getting the service you need for less than $30 a month.
What about, do you have Wi-Fi at your house?
Yes, we have Wi-Fi. So
you work out of your house,
correct.
So that's a necessity.
Yeah, it's actually my company does reimburse my Wi-Fi, so that's nice.
Okay,
but if I didn't, my complex, the apartment complex, actually has Wi-Fi too. It's free Wi-Fi. So if I needed to, I could just go hang out at the clubhouse and work from there for Wi-Fi. But internet streaming, I think that should be a bigger thing, especially when it comes to TV. I think, encouraging people to get away from cable and getting more on the whole internet streaming board would be good. If you're already paying for like an Amazon Prime membership, hey, you get free movies, music, TV shows already with that Prime membership that you could be streaming on like a Fire Stick.
What about going out to dinner?
So this is probably the biggest category, I think, where someone that starts living a frugal lifestyle would recognize that they're spending the most money. Wining and dining is insanely expensive. I actually did a cost analysis the other day of tacos because we're in Austin, right?
Who's got the best, cheapest tacos?
Yes. And all right, so a food truck around here will charge you what, like $3.50, $4, maybe $4.50. Yeah. I've seen $5 tacos, right. And so we made some tacos at home. Tacos are easy to make, right? And we actually made like some pretty nice gourmet tacos, steak tacos with peppers, cheese, all the fixings, everything on it. For 2 tacos, cost us around $1.45 to make for 2 of them. And you're gonna pay at least $4, at a food truck. I mean, that's like look at that markup there. It's like a 600% markup, and that's not including tip. I mean, you go to the grocery store and you're like, man, $12 is kind of expensive for a steak, but then a whole steak. But then you go to a restaurant and you're paying $20 for this much of it.
So what are your monthly expenses right now? Family of 4, living in Austin, Texas, living in this kind of a lifestyle. What do you spend each month?
Each month, we're around $3,000 a month right now.
$3,000
total, yeah.
And the rest is dumped into savings.
The rest is just dumped into savings. Yeah.
But what are the 3 hard things that I could implement into my life to save me much money? Like the 3 go-to things.
Oh, I just gave the 3 pretty much.
All
the
right,
HD antenna, cell phone bill, and the make your tacos at home. 1 extra meal, a week maybe. Just cook at home. I mean, that's going to really improve it. Don't shop at Whole Foods.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. So where is it then? You go to H-E-B, Costco, or where?
All right. I'm not ashamed to say that I shop at Walmart.
Okay. Great. Okay.
First thing I did when I came to Austin was price shop the grocery stores. I drove to every grocery store. And if you're in Austin, H-E-B is a thing. I haven't heard of H-E-B before that. I'll actually say that H-E-B prices are pretty comparable to that in Walmart. Actually, they're actually really good. I'll shop at a low price store like that. I mean, most of the items, you'll be okay with that way. I mean, I understand where some of your meats and quality are going to become a factor. I'm into working out, so I try to eat healthy, and I spend a little bit more on like proteins because, that I get in bulk though from like a Sam's Club or a Costco.
What is the hardest part living frugally with 2 kids?
Date nights out.
Date nights out.
That is the hardest part.
You've got to have a babysitter. And you've got to go out to dinner.
Exactly.
Movie.
Yeah, you do. And even being in our circumstance where we're not around family anymore, we have to also get transportation. The cost of a babysitter, we're talking, we have 2 kids, we're spending around $15 an hour for babysitting.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
And then you go out, and when we go out, we want to spend. We don't get out much. So part of being frugal is to, cut back on your normal expenses. So when you get the chance, the opportunity, you can splurge where you want to. You're still about living life, right? So when we go out to dinner, we're going to have a nice, glass of wine or some drinks or something. So I would say they're expensive and they're rare because of how expensive they are. Plus, with the babysitters.
So you have written the early retirement roadmap, and I've got some of these questions stem from me reading that. One of the things that you mentioned was the YMCA.
Yeah.
And so your kids are under 5, so they're not in school.
Correct.
And you don't go to an office, which most of the time is a huge social opportunity to meet other people. Your wife is now employed and goes to an office?
Correct.
So how do you come into a city and meet people if you don't go to an office, your kids aren't in school, only your wife is going to an office? How does that work?
Yeah, YMCA is a great one. You get to, the cool thing about YMCA is you could drop your kids off at drop off daycare and then go, hang out the gym. Is that
included?
It's included. Yeah.
How much is YMCA membership?
YMCA membership is around $60 a month. Actually, we just canceled ours.
Okay.
Sorry, because I've tried to cut back even more.
All right.
But it was about $60 a month for a whole family. And
for the whole family.
The whole family, exactly. Yeah. And then 2 hours they'll watch your kids. You just drop them off for 2 hours and you can go work out. They'll let you run Town Lake around here. It's great. We can go, there's a social, there's a little common area there. That's one way we socialize. But outside of that, that's always been a big thing for me working from home. And the reason why don't you want to work in the office? Well, a lot of times when I'm in the office in my industry, I may be around people that I don't work with directly. My team's pretty global. And so that wasn't really a factor for me being in the office. It was more so, how do I meet people with similar interests? And this is where I started to get involved with the community. I'm a software engineer. I ran conferences. I ran meetups. I go to meetups. I go to conferences. I met you at a meetup. That's how I get my social fix.
You had mentioned also in the early retirement roadmap that your plan is to live 1 to 2 years in each city that you move to, with Austin being the first city. You've been here 1 year. Is that still the game plan?
Yes, that's still the game plan. So we are going to be leaving Austin. Everybody's like, yeah.
One more apartment opened up.
Yeah, we're going to stay in Austin another year. We're actually shifting from the south to the north part of Austin.
When? In 1 year or right now?
This October, and this month, end of September. Next week.
All right.
We are moving from South Austin to North Austin. So this will be our second year we're going to be in Austin. So we'll be lowering our cost of living by $400 a month by doing so, because we thought we wanted everything downtown and we realized we don't use it because it's just extremely expensive.
Yep.
And I don't know, we don't get out here as much as we thought we would. So we're moving outward up north, and we want a new scene. We're kind of, so let's try something new without leaving the city yet. So let's go north to a whole different atmosphere up there.
My initial thought when you were moving just after a year was that, wait a minute, it's expensive to move. Then I realized it's really not expensive for you to move. You don't have to cancel cable. You load up your trailer and the truck.
That's right.
And you go north. You get your deposit back from this apartment, hopefully.
Yeah.
If the dog didn't tear up something. And you head up north, and your rent will go down $400?
That's right. Just my rent.
Okay, so nothing else will go down.
No, nothing else will really go down, I don't think. Well, the commute, actually. So we'll have less gas expenses,
for your wife.
For my wife, because we'll be closer to her work. That's another reason, exactly. We're just trying, and I should also say commute as well, because we'll actually be, right now we're in somewhat driving distance to get to grocery stores in the location we're at. We'll actually be around the corner, so we'll just walk everywhere too. We picked a good spot. We're getting more bang for our buck up. We're saving $400 a month, but we'll actually be getting a lot more for our money for where we're headed. So we're excited about it. So we are leaving Austin after that, and it might be Colorado, it might be Florida next, eventually abroad. But yeah, 1 to 2 years at a time. We never did it before, so we don't know what the exact length of time would be, but we're starting to feel after a year, we're like, okay, we're ready after a year. So it may be every year that we go for it.
But you're going to have kids that are going to be rolling into
yes,
kindergarten, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Is it homeschooling? Is it public school systems for 2 years and then moving them every 2 years? What's the scoop there?
Yeah, we actually just did an episode on our podcast about homeschooling and my wife was on it instead of my co-host, because we're interested in it. Yeah, we're definitely considering homeschooling, especially with traveling abroad eventually. We think it would be pretty important. Yes, also because time of year when you're, in and out of schools, if you're trying to move in summertime, it's extremely expensive versus, hey, if we're homeschooling, we can move in the spring. It doesn't matter, or the fall. So homeschooling is definitely something we're considering.
You currently work for Fortune 500 company. Is that a common thing for you, for people like you, or is this company welcome people to work from anywhere, work from home? Is that common or not?
I worked with another Fortune 500 company before, and it was common there, mainly in the tech space. A lot of the customer interfacing, of course not. Mainly because I think like my team is all over the globe. We have to work with different time zones anyway. We're virtual basically have to embrace the whole virtual concept, and try to make it work. So I think it is common, although, and honestly, it's a huge employee satisfaction thing too. I really enjoy working from home. I enjoy the flexibility. I enjoy not having to commute an hour to work.
And the company doesn't have to pay for office space for you.
So I dig it. And I mean, it's a competitive advantage in my opinion, because I've actually been offered many jobs. I get around 5 job offers a day. I'm in Austin, because this is a big tech. I'm not joking. Through LinkedIn, about 5 job offers a day. Okay. All 6-figure jobs, making great money, but they want me to be locked down here to Austin, and I turn them down. I mean, in some cases it's more than I'm making now, but the I don't know, the money I put maybe about a $20,000 to $30,000 value per year on working from home, so it means that much to me.
You are on pace to retire you're how old right now?
I am 30.
30, and you're going to retire in 5 years when you're 35, 36? Is that what you're on pace to do?
Yeah, that's right. 35 right now is the number that we're on pace to retire at.
Also, the word retirement means a lot of things to a lot of different people, but retiring at 35 is a whole different thing than retiring at 70.
Yes.
So what does the word retirement mean for you when you are 35 and doing it?
So, yeah, it's kind of a weird word to tell people. Like, I imagine when I'm retired, I'm going to be like, what do you do for a living? I'm retired. I don't know what kind of expense or, responses I'm going to get to that. But it's really the end goal of time. Just getting the most. I mean, that's our most limited thing on this earth is our time. So it's getting that time back to do whatever I want, whenever I want, wherever I want, whoever I want to do it with. And really, retirement. My definition of retirement is when you have enough passive income to pay for your expenses for the rest of your life. I mean, that's really what retirement is.
So leads me into my next question, because in your book it says you look forward to being a full-time husband, father, and entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So what does the word entrepreneur mean to you? And then what do you mean by passive income? Is it just money off of the stock market, off of your book? Like what will passive income look like, or what does it look like for you now?
I'm an engineer, but I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I have these entrepreneur aspirations. I have my own ideas I would like to build, to solve problems in my own life, to make the world a better place. So when I say I want to be an entrepreneur when I leave, but then you're not retired. Well, yeah, I am, because I don't have to do that every day, 9 to 5 when I want. It's really like any other kind of fun at that point. It's like a hobby, it's like playing video games or something. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do anything if I know I don't have to work unless I enjoy doing it, right? Unless there's a point to it. So that's why I feel, I can go, climb Everest and then, hey, that's what I want to do. Or, hey, I want to go build software to solve some problem, and that's what I want to do. But the passive income point, it's basically the markets. Building up a low cost index fund portfolio that can literally passively. I know people talk about some investments that they think are passive and truly aren't. A lot of times, like when in real estate or even owning a business and taking money out of there, a lot of times is an active investment. But the book is just something else we did or I've done to talk about it. And hey, yeah, people, that's another way of getting some passive income. But I'm actually not relying on that. I'm really talking of only middle class hard-earned savings that are invested to pay for retirement.
So, what are the 3 biggest factors that anyone should evaluate if they're listening to this thing, if listening to our conversation driving home, and they walk in the door from the garage into the kitchen and they want to have this conversation with their spouse? Like, how do you bring this up to your spouse? And what are the 3 biggest factors that they need to consider whether they want to commit to this kind of a lifestyle or not?
The most important thing is you need to ask yourself, why are you saving money? Like, where are you trying to get to? To buy a house? Okay, for what? or like to go into college to get a career for what? What are you trying to get to? You need to know that end, purpose, the thing that fulfills you in life. And that's where the whole soul searching comes into play, figuring out what means most to you. And that's where the kids really hit me on the head when I realized, hey, I want more of these unforgettable experiences, right?
More time with the kids.
That's what it is. It's time. I mean, it comes back to that over and over again. Like, so I think that's the first thing is figure out, why are you working? Like, what are you working for? To make money to buy what? I get it. But, and then find the standard of living that you could enjoy at retirement. Just because you can retire now, or maybe you think you need all this huge mansion I think it's important to find that standard of living that you're happy with that you probably don't know now. You can always raise your standard of living after retirement in another way. You could work part-time at the perfect job, right? Like, or you go be a lifeguard, or you go surf or whatever, who knows? But you work to raise your standard of living after retirement, but at least finding that, hey, I'm really happy at this point. It gives me the time that I want to do the things I love. And then the third thing, to plant the seed. You gotta, like anything, it's about small wins over time that exponentially, grow. And if you're not already planting the retirement seed, in other words, saving in your retirement accounts or investing money, then it has no chance to compound over time and help you. Like working out, you got to start small, right? I mean, it's like anything in life.
You also started, how long ago did you start the Two Frugal Dudes podcast?
Last November, so 2016.
Right when you were leaving.
Yeah. So after I got here, yeah.
And so why did you start that podcast? And who's your co-host?
My co-host, Kevin Griffin, awesome guy. So he teaches Financial Peace University for his church, which a lot of people are familiar with. Dave Ramsey will know that. And I've been on this early retirement kick for many years. So me and him have had these, I guess, financial discussions for many years together. And we're like, hey man, all these conversations are getting lost, and we need to start recording these. So it actually started out for fun as something that him and I wanted to do, also to learn from more people, because we knew we would get feedback. We were just sharing our stories for our families, like middle-class families going through, how we're handling our personal finances. And we were able to get all kinds of responses, and now I don't know. Now we're changing lives. Honestly, I mean, we're getting feedback from people saying, "Hey, thank you so much," and we're getting case studies on the show, and it's amazing what this has turned into.
What are the top 3 money saving tools that you've learned from the people that you've had on the show that you've implemented into your life that you didn't know before you started the podcast?
The coolest. Or not the coolest. You were the coolest guest, of course.
Oh,
but I mean, for just starting out on a podcast, we were able to get Mint.com on the podcast. Intuit company. They were able to come on and help us explain everything that they offer for free. I mean, just like you can literally just start. Like you have to kind of accept where you are today in order to move forward. And the biggest part of doing that is being able to track your money. So just walking through like how much just a free tool has to offer, I would definitely recommend, getting a budgeting tool, just to recognize all your accounts that are out there, accepting where you are, learning how to build a budget. And Mint.com does that. And they give you like a free credit score too. Not that I care. We'll come back to credit in a minute. The second thing would be the Roth IRA conversion ladder. Ever heard of it?
No. Yeah, no. Roth IRA conversion ladder.
That's right.
All right.
So I learned about this technique. And this hit me across the head too, because initially when I was thinking about retiring early, I was really worried about building up taxable brokerage account investments. That might be a mouthful there, but basically investing in non-retirement account. And because I didn't think I could access my retirement accounts until I was 59 and a half or older, right? Like my 401ks and IRAs. And then I learned about this thing called the Roth IRA conversion ladder, and you can actually get to your retirement funds before 59 and a half using this method, where basically you convert all the money that you've saved in your 401ks and traditional IRAs over to a Roth over a few year period, and you are able to withdraw all your contributions with no penalty before that time. It's a really cool technique. As soon as I found that out, I was like, wow, I'm going the wrong route. And I immediately started maxing out all of my tax advantaged accounts like my 401k and IRA, because the tax advantages in those are just, you can't beat. It doesn't matter what else you're doing outside of those accounts.
Sure.
I mean, taxes are your biggest cost. Sorry. And then the third thing that was really insightful was learning the truth about financial advisors. The problem, a lot of your financial advisors out there are usually running in insurance companies. And the first thing they want to do is try to sell you some whole or universal life insurance policy that really isn't helpful to you, and you get better, returns in the market. A lot of their, financial advisors, I believe a lot of them have, they have good intentions. They're good people. They want to help people, right? And they're probably going to help you do better than you're already doing. But they have special interest. Actually, most of the financial advisors out there are actually brokers of products, and they receive a commission on the investments they get you in or the products that they sell you, and they're not actually acting in your best interest. So I learned this by doing the podcast, doing a book study on Unshakable by Tony Robbins, and just opening up this whole can of worms on, hey, no, financial advisors might not be in your best interest. You're probably losing a lot of money in the costs that they have that you're not really paying attention to. So that was a big deal. And then that's the cool thing about Kevin and I. We're just normal people talking about our finances, and we're not financial advisors.
Right.
We're not certified or anything, but we're learning how to manage our finances by ourselves and able to share this with people so they don't have to waste all this extra money on professional services that they may not need.
You mentioned something I caught, credit score. Yeah. You don't have a credit card balance. There's no way, right?
No, I don't.
Do you own a credit card?
No, I do not. No, and
you do not have credit cards.
No, do not.
Okay, so what happens if you want to buy a plane ticket?
Use a debit card.
Just your debit card.
You have enough. That's the whole point here. Is
okay.
you have the money to pay for things. It's so weird, right? It's a weird concept. Like I just take it out. I'll pay for it right now. I don't need to put it on credit. Credit gives people the opportunity to make mistakes. And Kevin and I have seen, especially him teaching Financial Peace University, a lot of times it's getting people out of debt. After seeing those stories over and over again, it makes you sick of how many people are in these kinds of situations because of credit cards. I think it's kind of sad that building credit is still a thing. It sucks because there's some things you still need credit for, like when you're renting an apartment, they have to check your credit, getting insurance, I don't know what the minimums you need on that. Like, it's probably not much, but still, I still have credit, but it's been funny because, so when I did have a credit card, my credit score was like 827. And after cutting it now, I'm down to like 780.
It's going down.
Just going, yeah. So it just keeps every time I check it, because I think it's funny. The more savings we have and the more investments we have, the lower our credit score gets.
The less they're able to vouch for you.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So you have something on your website, or a website called FireAgeCalc, CALC.com. What is that?
All right, so it's a really simple tool just to help people figure out when they could retire, because too many people don't even know what age they could retire. I'm not supposed to retire until my 60s or 70s. Okay, what's the exact age? Do you even know? Like, most people don't know. So if you don't know, how are you going to work to improve it? And a lot of the calculators out there they were really confusing. I actually invented this while doing it for myself, because the other ones couldn't do what I do. They were all about like percentages of income or percentage of savings, which I just said, hey, here's how much I spend. Here's how much I know I can save. Here's what I think I can get on my investments. When can I retire? Here's how old I am. And that's all it does. It's that simple. It's 5 fields.
All right.
Because your 401ks try to tell you, hey, you're saving this much. That's going to give you this much when you retire based on estimations. And that's all a load of crap. They just want anyways.
So what are you focused on in the next 6 months? In the next 2 weeks, you're going to be moving to North Austin. Yeah. And in the next year, you're going to be leaving Austin for somewhere else. But what are the biggest things or challenges or accomplishments that you want to hit in the next 6 months?
This is going to sound strange, but excelling at my career, honestly.
Right.
Yes, I want to retire early, but at the same time, I'm very grateful for, the opportunities I've had because of my career. And I enjoy doing what I do. I enjoy, being an engineer. But I'm a hard worker, and I'm dedicated to what I do for my company, and so I want to make sure I continue to do that, even though even having that sense of imposter syndrome, right, where down the road I'm eventually gonna pull the ripcord and maybe leave. I mean, I say I'm gonna retire in 5 years. Who knows? It might come quicker. It might go later. You don't know what's gonna happen in the markets. Sure. It's so that's the estimate right now. But I'm grateful for the time being, and I don't want it to affect have a huge effect on my work. So that's the main thing I want to really focus on, of course, as well as meet more people in like yourself or other people in the personal finance space, just to kind of help spread the word more, or get like how can we work together to make people realize this is a thing, and it's really important to get a hold of your finances, not only for early retirement. I say early retirement earlier than you already may be, right? I mean, It doesn't have to be your 30s, or it's just about self-insurance. Credit cards, a lot of people say, I have my credit card for an emergency. No, you have money for an emergency. I mean, really, you have to pay the credit card anyways, so don't pay it, just pay the money without interest. So it's just about, I don't know, it's control, it's freedom, it's peace, that's what we're building.
What advice do you have for the person right now that's ready to make a change, live more frugally? And retire early? We have hit some serious takeaways, but if you could end on one final thing, what would it be?
To know where you want to be and accept where you're at. So too many people are living in fear of checking their bank accounts every day or their credit cards. But you can't go nowhere until you accept where you are and know where you want to be. And I talk about, what are you saving for? I mean, that's the whole thing. You need to figure that out. That's soul searching. I mean, it led to me finding my faith again, just, different things like, finding your purpose in life. I think that's important to try and figure that out. If it's weird to think of yourself in the future, it's kind of hard to do that. It's unnatural, like to plan for that, plan for what you don't know. I mean, you really don't know, so why not plan for it? So that, I guess it's philosophical. I get it, but that would be my biggest, first piece of advice. Just figure out where you want to be, start tracking where you are today, because you can't go nowhere until you know where you're at.
You can find Sean at twofrugaldudes.com. Also, again, fireagecalc.com, and on Twitter at Sean Merron, Merron. And where can they buy the Early Retirement Roadmap?
You can go to earlyretirementroadmap.com. It's also listed on the gohuntlife.com website. You'll see it in the recommendation section. You can use the promo code FRIEND, get 10% off. And hop on on Two Frugal Dudes. If you jump on the podcast, I would definitely hop on the Frugal Insiders list, where we're giving away discounts, special offers, and all kinds of cheat sheets, more frugal tips and recommendations. Check it out.
Sean, thanks for today.
It's been a pleasure.
Don't forget to hit up the rock stars at printdirtcheap.com. Use promo code GoHuntLife for $10 off of your next print job. For fast, cheap, and high-quality online printing, it's printdirtcheap.com. Hey, Life Hunters, thank you for listening to this episode of Go Hunt Life. If you like the show and would like to support it, go to iTunes and do this. Subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and review it. It helps. And thank you. If you or someone that you know has quit their normal life to follow their dreams, I would love an introduction and maybe interview them on the show. You can find me at gohuntlife.com and also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest at Go Hunt Life. Until next time, stay weird, dare greatly, and ripcord out.